grain.
You are a creative, we get it.
Wes Anderson
Wes
sucks.
Anderson. I go mentally ill.
I'm a straight up slut.
Experimental film.
Doritos bags look mad different.
We were watching Mean Girls.
As a filmmaker, he is nothing. A zero. He's a pig piece of shit.
We got Ion Pack. We got Tony Hawk is in the house.
We love the Iron Pack.
I was obsessed with trash. The movie's trash, you know?
M. Night Shyamalan.
What? No Q&A?
Never make a movie, make out with girls.
Rub Vaseline on the limbs. Why do we have to see his fucking name in the movie? Spike Jonze sucks bad. Give me brackets. You don't see a film and say, Joe Schmo did the fucking food. Let me go see all his movies he did the food in.
This is a film.
Let the creative people talk to the money people.
But it's time to admit you are a fan of the Iron Man.
If like the sound is off in the theater, I go mentally ill.
There's a whole group of guys who pretend to be making special films.
Let's hit it.
All right. Welcome back to the Ion Pod. We've got Julia Fox.
Hey guys. Sorry. sorry.
We've got Julia Fox on the
Was
pod.
not paying attention. Yes, hello. I am Julia Fox. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Cool.
Actress, superstar. You guys know her.
You already know.
Yeah.
New York fixture for a
Jack of
long
all
time
trades.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've been around. I'm definitely an old timer.
How long have you been? You've been in New York forever? Or?
Yeah, forever. I mean, I was born in Italy, but I came here to live for the first time at I think a year and a half, 2 years. And I was here for 2 years and I went back there until I was 5 or 6. Then I came back here. My life's just always been back and forth, but I definitely have spent 90% of it here or more. So it's
Huge
been a
shouts to
lot.
Italy.
Yeah.
What?
Huge shouts to Italy.
Yeah.
We're big on it.
Yeah. Love it. Are you guys Italian?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Sick. Yeah.
Italians do it better.
Yeah. No, definitely Italians are just so hilarious and so crafty and good food, good clothes, good cars, just good women.
Good men.
Yeah. I don't know about that. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, Italy's great. But obviously so different from New York.
What part are you from?
From the north, and I'm from a few places in the north is where we would are stationed. So I was born in Milan, but I never lived in Milan. I lived in a small, really kind of shitty town outside of Milan. So shitty. And then I also lived in Como, which is famous for its and that's more bougie, nicer. And then I also whatever, from the mountains, basically. I'm mountain people.
And when'd you move out of there?
When did I move out of there?
Yeah.
Well, the last time I lived there, I was 14 to about 15 and a half. And I say half because at that age you count halves.
Yeah.
And they make a difference. So it was up until that point, that was the last time that I actually spent time there. And yeah, just been here pretty much ever since.
And you love New York.
I do, I think. I don't know. Feel comfortable here. I know it really well. But I really love California. And that's one thing that I can tell about a lot of real New Yorkers is that they really love California. And I think it's because when you grow up here, you're not thinking how great the city is. You're I can't wait to get out of here.
Right.
It kind of feels small and a little claustrophobic. And
Yeah.
all the people that I grew up with are either dead, in jail, on drugs, or in California.
Yeah.
It's that's just where
California's getting out.
Yeah, it's like getting out and
Yeah.
it's like the sun and the people are fucking nice and like gorgeous and healthy and like it's just you kind of feel like you made it once you're in California as a New Yorker, at least in my like generation. That's kind of what it feels like. So when I thought that I was going to be moving to California, I was very excited. I got my apartment. I shipped like literally 50 boxes, probably like 40, between 40 and 50 boxes, furniture, everything, literally everything. And I emptied my storage unit, and then the fucking pandemic happened, and I was like, you know what? And all the studios closed. So suddenly this show that I was going to do halted production. And yeah, everything just stopped. And it was like, I was getting kind of bored. So I was like, you know what, let me just go home. I'll just go back home and like, you know, try to like work on my relationship with my husband because we were kind of on the rocks. And then a month later I was pregnant, and then I'm still here. I'm still in New York now. So I don't know how to feel about that.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank
congratulations,
you.
by the way.
Thank you. Super, super happy about the baby. But like not so happy that now I'm still here. Because I really thought like and now I just have this apartment in LA that I've probably slept in like a collective of like 5 nights for this over a year. And I'm like, all my shit is in there. It's like still in boxes. It's just a mess. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
So you will feel like you have arrived once you get to California.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it again, I'm sure, but I don't know because it's like, I'm here. My baby's doctors are here. My families are here. Both of our families are here. My help is here. My support group is here. Although I do have like the world of friends in LA. It's just like, it's like when I'm with the baby, it's like different. Like, I have like the baby's actual like biological families are all here.
Right.
Yeah.
My husband's from Brooklyn, and I have my help here. So it definitely changes stuff for sure to have a baby.
Can we hear about the baby a little bit more?
Yeah, he's amazing. His name is Valentino, and he's such a little mommy's boy. He is obsessed with me. He's like such a cuddle bug.
How old is he?
How old is he?
Yeah,
He's almost 3 months.
Oh,
He'll
wow.
be 3 months next week. But like he's just like so gorgeous. Like has these big blue eyes, and like he's already like making noises, like making weird like goo ga. Like it's just really cute. Love him so much. And he's like, even at like 1 month old, he was like using all his like strength to like inch closer to me. Like we'll be laying on the bed and you just see him like just to like get close to mommy, and it's like the cutest thing ever. I really like, obviously I had this fear as like a creator and an artist and whatever. I had this fear like there's kind of this like thing that is like, I guess women are like taught that like, having a baby is going to change you. And if you're an artist, like you're not going to really have that much interest in your like art anymore. And I can't say it, like that is so fucking far from the truth. And that is like the one thing I was really scared of during my pregnancy. I was like, is this going to change me? Like, am I going to be one of those people that like in their like Instagram bio, like the first thing is like, Valentino's mom, like I was so afraid of that. Like, I don't want that to be my identity. Like, yes, I am a mom, but that's not all I am, and it's like,
Yeah. And you want to keep your family like a little out of the
and
other
it's
people's
like,
business.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I just like, I think a lot of women like that's like it, or that's what it looks like, or that's what it appears like, is
Some
that they
people go
just,
that
their
way,
identity just becomes like, I am a mom and that is it,
Yeah.
And like for me, that couldn't be farther from the truth. Just having a baby just reaffirmed, like, I'm like on my missions. Like, I'm like, I have so many things I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it for my baby so that like my son can be like, that's my mom, like, and be proud of me and want to, follow in my footsteps, hopefully. So yeah, that was kind of what I was feeling, but yeah.
Well, so where does that take you next? I mean, it's nice to hear that it's not like an anti-motivator, or that you still want, that you're still
I'm
wanting
still
to get
I
after
mean,
it.
obviously I was for my whole pregnancy, and I was scared because during my pregnancy, like I literally was just a blob. Like I couldn't do anything. I couldn't answer the phone for anyone. Like just was like I felt so apathetic towards everything, and obviously it was just like the hormones and like my mind just telling my body to like chill out and just like cook this baby up and like don't get too crazy. And so I got a little afraid. I was like, fuck, am I going to be like this? What is happening to me? And then at the moment I had him, it was like I was back to being me. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
No, well, what's next for you?
Oh, right. Yeah, so...
You've done many things.
Yeah, I've done many things. I have a movie, a really big movie coming out, which I actually filmed while I was like 6-7 months pregnant.
Wow.
And they had no idea. Like I carried so well, like my little baby just like knew what to do. He knew he was like to get in that position where he's not really sticking out so much. So they could put me in the freaking girdle.
He should have been getting paid.
Oh yeah, maybe he's a natural born actor.
He really is. Like I was like, oh my God, baby, like don't kick, don't do anything crazy. Like we are rolling. But yeah, they had no idea that I was doing that I was pregnant. On my last day, I was like, I wonder if they know and like talk about it behind my back. So I like tested it out with the hair lady. I was like, on my last day, I was like, I'm pregnant, right? And she like flipped out and lost her shit. So I was like, oh, okay, no one knows. Because if like someone had known, it would have traveled so fast, like she would have eventually heard it. And I could tell by her reaction, she had no idea. But that was really awesome. And that was a movie with Steven Soderbergh as the director called No Sudden Move. Yeah, and he's fucking amazing. And
what was it? I gotta hear about that.
Yeah. What can you tell us about?
He's like such a master. Like he like. It was definitely, and I like honestly haven't even been on that many movie sets. Like I'm just kind of starting out like I did, Uncut Gems, and that had to come out for people to like know who I was. And then a few months later did No Sudden Move. And
PVT Chat.
Right. Private Chat. That actually came before Uncut Gems.
Right, that was
which
shot.
is funny. Yeah. But like, I don't know. I don't really consider that acting because I literally had no idea what I was doing, and I never like memorized the line. That shit was all improv. Like I didn't.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like it was not. So to me, that I kind of look at that as just like a fun little test run project that I did. But that was like that was kind of because when I did that, Uncut Gems was still like maybe like I wasn't confirmed for it. Right. So I was like like let me get some practice like or something. I don't know. I just wanted to like do like what you guys like a practice run. But anyway, so working with Steven was amazing. Like he's just like 1-2 takes, he knows he got it. He's not over here like doing it 1,000 times. Like he's the Safdie brothers are more like 1,000 times, but that also could just be me. But definitely like you could tell he breathes and sleeps this shit. Like he's holding the camera and like he's the DP and also like it's just and also the director. Like he's just really, and I think he edits his movies as well.
He does it all.
Yeah, like he's like so goals and so fucking chill and so nice. And
does he like wake up super early? Like is he like type A?
I don't know that because with COVID and all those restrictions, I couldn't really like it wasn't like Uncut Gems where it was like a party the whole time. Like everyone in my trailer, everyone in my hotel, it was like, and also I was in Detroit, I was pregnant, I was alone. It was like, for almost a month. But there was never really like opportunities there weren't like even Crafty, like wasn't like a community space that you could like go and eat. It was like get your food, get out.
Right.
Totally so I didn't get as close to him as I know that I would have if the circumstances had been different. But, he definitely seems like one thorough ass motherfucker. Like everything is perfect. And you feel safe.
Yeah.
Like I knew I was going to be taken care of. And the Batman let me do what I wanted.
You really just feel like you're in the presence of a true pro.
Yeah, major. And then Benicio del Toro is amazing.
Big show.
So funny. So fucking funny. And while I was with him, I was like, oh my God, you were in Fear and Loathing. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it just like all these movies came back.
Yeah.
And then I was like fangirling like hard, but keeping it cool, you know. But then we actually became bros. Like we became homies, and you know, we exchanged numbers in the end and whatever. But like on a friend and a friend too. But that's the thing. Like no one knew I was pregnant. Like it was just, you know, I just kept being like, damn, I wish I could just tell them. But you know, as you're kind of told that, you know, people don't really like pregnant women. Like they do, but stay far away.
Right.
Like we
Yeah.
love you and we admire you at a distance, but
Right.
like we don't want you in our workspaces. Like that's kind of like
Yeah.
what the vibe
Yeah.
has always kind of been.
What do you think
And-
that is?
Because they're no longer a woman that can be had.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Yeah.
off the market.
Yeah,
And a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of that I think is probably just that like patriarchal bullshit. Like, oh, well, she's like off limits anyway.
Yeah,
So what's the
yeah,
point of
yeah,
having
yeah.
her around if there isn't the chance that I can toy with the idea
Right, right,
of
right.
potentially fucking her?
Yeah.
Which I get it. I do. But you know, it is fucked up because we're still the same fucking person where we just now have a fucking baby to also take care of and think about. And also with COVID, nobody, like I was going to do this really big job and we told them, look, I'm pregnant, because at that point it was like impossible to hide. And literally the producers were like, with COVID, we like can't take the chance of like getting you sick. Like
yeah,
our
yeah.
insurance just won't cover you.
Right.
So it's like, ugh, the fuck. Because also it's like, there's no studies that say that like pregnant women get affected more. Actually, there's studies that say that pregnant women bounce back faster because we have all the like antibodies of
Right.
like protecting this child. So
Right.
it's like, you know, it's such a, which I get it though. It's like a new thing. There aren't that many, you know, studies about it. But also, I really do think that I'm immune to COVID because I spent an entire day in a hotel room, half the size of this room, with someone that had COVID and did not get it.
Yeah. I've heard of a couple people that happening to. It's like,
Yeah.
it really
and
doesn't
you know,
make any
there's
sense.
that whole thing that like O positive blood, you know, that
Yeah,
like myth.
yeah.
And I have O positive blood.
Well, there you
so
go.
I was like, damn, maybe that shit is true. Like maybe I really am fucking immune and I got that good rare blood.
And you're Italian.
Yeah, and I'm Italian. So
Italians are immune.
yeah. Oh god, I don't know about that. My mom's been on lockdown she's so depressed right now. She's just like going through it. She called me like, I'm so depressed. I'm like, I literally can't help you. I'm sorry.
She's not vaxxed yet?
She's getting her vaccine. And then she's like afraid of the vaccine.
Right, yeah.
A lot of older people are afraid of the
Yeah, yeah.
vaccine. There's that vaccine. There's that general mistrust of, you know, those types of things. But I don't give a fuck. I'll take all the vaccines.
Yeah, no, same.
There was that
Don't
great
care.
clip, I don't know if you saw it, of like Italians partying on their like decks, like in the
Yeah.
middle of quarantine. There was like
It was
a guy
beautiful.
DJing.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
so
oh, yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, this is how we do it.
yeah. It's fun. No, I really do love Italy and I love Italians, but I am just such an American girl. Like I really am. I was just born that way. Like I'm my father's
USA,
daughter,
baby.
100%. What?
USA, baby.
Yeah, I really am. You know, I like things and I like them now. You know, like things like that.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm just so get it done, like going always so fast. So, you know, Italy's just kind of where you have to like sit back and enjoy life and then take like 10 naps a day. And I'm just like, no, nobody has time for that. But
So going back a little bit, I'm just curious if before you were in Private Chat, if like being an actress and pursuing that as a career was the main goal.
No, I wanted to be like the greatest artist alive. Like I wanted to just make art of like and cover all mediums, and then I wanted to be a filmmaker and all that stuff. And then I also wanted to be like a mogul and start companies. Like I was just like always like I'm just so crazy. Like I just wanted to do everything, and I really have done so much. Like I really do have like a very large repertoire of careers and career changes and just trying to figure out what I like. But like at least though, I can say like, at least I was proactive in trying to figure it out. Like I know a lot of my friends, like literally my age, still haven't figured it out and are like not trying to.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they don't have that like angst.
Yeah,
like if I wasn't doing anything, I'd be like really like even being pregnant was like very hard.
Yeah.
I couldn't like
gotta like keep on the move. Yeah.
Exactly.
You were doing nightlife stuff for a while.
Well, yeah, no, I don't know. People say I was doing nightlife stuff and like they think I was this party girl, but no, I was just a drug addict. Like it had nothing to do with parties. It could have literally been a fucking.
That's the gig. With
yeah. It could have literally been a basement trap house. Like it didn't matter where.
Yeah.
But I did have I was an investor in a nightclub and that did not end well because of my like really sick ex-boyfriend who was sick at the time with addiction. And it kind of all came crumbling down. But we're cool now. We're totally friends, but you know it just sucks because it was very bad.
Which nightclub was it?
It was called Happy Endings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like if you like Google what happened, it's a crazy story. It was covered.
I remember it being a crazy story, but I can't remember the story.
So basically, long story short, we're in this club. My boyfriend and I had broken up, but we're both starting to see other people. So everything's supposed to be fine. But then one day he gets in his feelings and he basically physically assaults me in the club and then breaks my phone. And he does it and everyone saw. Like that was the part that like really fucked me up is because I know that women are never believed.
Yeah.
But so many people saw it. And then I was like wow,
out.
like they will literally choose to just like not get involved, which I think is so crazy because if I see any type of fight, I always get involved. Always. I never just let it go. I don't do that. And especially if it's a girl against a guy. Like I've even almost gotten my ass whooped getting in between a guy and his girlfriend. Whatever though. Anyway, so he attacks me and I say, look, I'm not going to call the cops. Just buy me a new phone. He doesn't want to buy me a new phone. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to say that you assaulted me. Because he did, but I just wanted a new phone. I literally was going to let it slide. Like I literally was going to let it slide. I was going to be like, you know what? It's fine.
Phone, we're good.
It's okay. I could take a hit. I'm not going to let you fuck me out of a phone though. And he wouldn't do it. He actually went to the lost and found of Happy Ending and came back with like an iPhone 4 or some crazy shit. And I was like, if you think I'm going to fucking walk around with that, you're insane. But with a passcode on it. Had a passcode.
So it's like locked.
Yeah. I was like, I'm going to shove this up your ass. That's what I'm going to do with this phone. So whatever, I call the cops. And then it just was a fucking domino effect of just like it totally spiraled. And, you know, obviously after that, I actually left New York because it just felt like so unsafe here for me. Yeah. Not like I like was threatened, but I just felt like, wow, like y'all fucking suck. Like you guys literally all suck. Like you guys like all think like I'm crazy and like I deserved it or something. Like that was the vibe. Right. And this was like before Me Too. This was before like people gave a fuck. Yeah. You know? And like people were like still friends with him and like it was just such a like slap in the face all the time. You know, and then what happened was the nightclub banned me from coming back.
Wow.
I'm an investor. I actually put money in this place. Exactly. No, it was like literally insane. It was Max LeVay and Oliver Stum from Cafe Select. They banned me, but they said we're going to ban him too. Then I find out he's still fucking going there. Wow. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like on principle, like it's over for you guys. Yeah. And I mean, there's no longer a happy ending.
Yeah.
It was pretty.
And you can ask them why. I won't get into details, but I fucking.
Good work, Julia.
Fuck, like exactly. Like they're like literally such misogynist pieces of shit. And then what happened was they were like, oh, they were like all conspiring against me. And the thing is, I have like friends everywhere. I have ears and eyes everywhere. And they were going to make a website and they were going to open it in Switzerland, where this Oliver Stum from Cafe Select is from. And they were going to out me. They were going to use images of me. They were going to say, you know, I was a sex worker dominatrix. I was a drug addict, like all this stuff basically coming for me and my character.
Whoa.
So that's why I released my first book called Symptomatic of a Relationship Gone Sour, which like went totally fucking viral. People still hit me up for that book to this day, but it's just too lit. Like I just cannot sell that book. If there's photos of it on the internet, you can read about it.
Oh,
but
it was never released.
Oh no, it was released, but like only like maybe like 200 copies ever. And like I remember I was selling them for like $20, like just pennies. And places were buying it and reselling it for like 500.
Yeah.
Like it was like that big. It was
So
like,
those copies are
and it
worth
kind
even more
yeah,
now.
exactly. And it kind of got like a cult following just for being so like real and raw. And there was like real images of abuse, and there was images of drug use, and there was like little just like mementos from my childhood. Like my like missing poster from when I was like a runaway, and my boyfriend's like jail ID card, which you're like not ever supposed to have because they're always supposed to have it on them. And he like gave it to me, which was like major, but obviously he got in a lot of trouble for that. But that's kind of like their way of being like, I love you so much. Like just like stuff like from Rikers Island, and just like stuff like that, And I was like, well, if you guys want to come for me, like I'll just put it all out there, and then you guys will have nothing on me.
Yeah.
And then that like drew even more attention to the saga and just became this big fucking thing. So I was like, at that point, after releasing that book and like it going so fucking viral, like literally broke the internet. It was like the most searched thing, like on whatever site that I had released it on. I don't even remember.
What year was this? Like when was this?
2015.
Yeah.
And I moved to Louisiana. I like had to get out because I just felt so vulnerable because I was like, in a way, I was like, I fucking showed them like, like I, releasing my own dirt, opening my closet. But on the other hand, I was like, fuck, I feel like really naked right now. Like everyone like now knows all this stuff about me.
Yeah, like you thought it would feel better than it did.
Yeah. Well, no, it initially felt great because I was like, what are they going to do now? Like that was like what they were going to do. And, but then I was like, oh, like I feel very bare right now. Then I went to Louisiana.
Why Louisiana?
I had friends down there. My friends Jack and John from Salem.
Big show.
Yeah, love them so much. Went down there, and then we just like it was just a shit show down there too. I call it dehab, like how some people go to rehab. I was like dehab because I just literally went.
It just like got messier.
Yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Like it was good. I loved.
thing.
I loved honestly. Half of it was healthy, positive. The other half was very, very bad. I had to leave. And then shortly, kind of after that, Uncut Gems came around, and then I got into acting. But my whole life, everyone always said like you should be an actress. These are the three things I've always gotten. Like you should be an actress. You should be a writer. You should make a movie about your life. Those are like the three things I've gotten forever. Mm-hmm. So, I'm working on it. I'm working on my book. I would like to make a movie maybe one day, but I don't really have interest. That's not the topic that would interest me to do, but eventually I'll get there and I'm working on that. But also I do want to plug my podcast.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's called, it's going to be released, I think next weekend. Stay tuned for the actual release date, and it's called Fantasy Hour. And my co-host is my really iconic original e-girl, Nikki Takesh. And, she's amazing. And, it's in association with Serving the People, which we know is like a creative incubator, and they kind of help artists like make their projects come to life. So I'm really excited to be teaming up with them, and it's gonna be fucking crazy. Our first guest, I'm not gonna get into too many details, but our first guest is a detective from I don't want to give away whatever, but from a major city on the East Coast. And he was also my old, very trusted, loyal slave, which is a what dominatrixes refer to as their clients. They're called slaves. And I think we're going to do what a lot of people want to do to cops. So stay tuned. It's going to get crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Insane.
That episode comes out next weekend?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's our first episode, and we have a long list of amazing guests as well. I don't want to announce anyone until we actually shoot because you never know what could happen in between that time.
Yeah.
But all our guests are like basically the whole point of the podcast is like we really want like unique, fresh, interesting perspectives, whether we agree with them or not. I think it's still, refreshing to hear different ideas and arguing is always fun. But yeah, we basically just want to it's a fantasy, it's fantasy hour. Like who's the craziest person you could think of? We're probably going to get them. So yeah.
Sounds like the first podcast I'll actually listen to.
Yeah. No, honestly, I'm not a podcaster. I'd never listened to podcasts. But I've always had this thing in the back of my mind, I would be such a good podcast person. I just know that I would just be always putting on cool guests and cool, unique, interesting perspectives. And also eventually I do want to open it up to the public and if you have a crazy story, if there's something that you think people should know about that only you know about, definitely come on. So that'll be really, really fun to do. Love that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Wow.
you.
I'm really excited for that.
Yeah. Podcasting is an art.
Mm-hmm.
New rock stars.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
But okay, so then you came back to New York, going back now. After Louisiana. And so was...
No, I didn't come back to New York. I came back to New York for a month, and I had an art show called PTSD, which also went kind of viral. And I had another book from PTSD. And that art show was very much the time of being in Louisiana and coming off of this really traumatic experience with my ex-boyfriend and the whole entire city of New York, which I had huge resentment against because, my ex-boyfriend's not from here. I'm from here. Y'all were supposed to have my back. But then again, it's y'all not even really from here either. All these people aren't from here. So it was kind of damn, what is this city? The city's not even ours anymore. If all these little fuckers from, wherever the fuck can come and think they run shit. And I think growing up in New York, you do have that sense of this is mine, but is it, because everyone's just not from here. It's so hard to meet a real New Yorker because they're all dead, or not here, or or they're in California.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And obviously I'm not referring to the outer boroughs. There's a lot of New Yorkers in the outer boroughs. I'm talking about Manhattan specifically.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's a lot of, out of town kids, which is great. And I love them. And a lot of my best friends are now from other places, but I did kind of feel what the fuck, this would never fly if it was real New Yorkers.
Right. Well, it's an ownership thing. It's once the out of towners start having ownership.
Yeah.
Or
just having an opinion.
Yeah.
Go take your fucking opinion and yourself back to Milwaukee. Fuck you. But yeah, I definitely had a huge, huge resentment. I did not want to come here at all. Yeah, really, it was coming back was a very slow, grueling process because I really was, and I don't think I realized it at the time because I was so in defense mode. I had to defend myself from these men that were coming for me that I didn't really grieve. I never really had a grieving process. I never really even mourned the breakup itself, just that, because I just immediately was oh my God, attack mode. I need to defend myself. And also just not let them win. For my own personal, how are you going to do me do any girl like that?
Yeah.
And then expect to get away with it. You have another thing coming, It was just for all women, I had to just, put up my biggest fight.
Well, sounds like you did.
Yeah, and I really, we came out, we as in me, came out victorious, I think. All those guys are fucking losers now. They got nothing.
Moral of the story is to fight
Max
back.
lost that gallery. He fucked up his galleries. Oliver's always just been like a miserable loser, ugly, horrible taste in music. Like, oh my God, I just got to put it on public record.
Yeah.
The worst fucking music. He'd be like at Happy Ending, like, this music sucks. Like, oh, I want a DJ. And then he'd be playing like Shake and Pop. Shake and Pop. Do you guys know that song,
Green
Shake and
Velvet?
Pop?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Every night, Shake and Pop. It's like, this isn't 1999, bro.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to fucking listen to that. Like,
What
psychopath.
did you want on?
What?
What music did you want on?
Some hip hop. He was like, hip hop is low brow. Like that's
Oh,
gonna
it
bring
was like
bring a
that.
bad crowd. He
Yeah,
literally said that.
That type of.
Yeah,
That's a sentiment
he's
in
full fucking
nightclub,
racist.
yeah.
He's full fucking sexist.
Yeah, that's like the. I feel that was like a very 2000s. I remember like Lit Lounge got in trouble for doing that shit. Like that
Yeah.
era of club,
which is
loved
so
to
whack.
say
But
shit
The
like that,
justification was always used that it would bring the wrong crowd.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Which is like, what are you saying?
Oh, they're full racist. They're full
Yeah.
racist. Even if you look at the reviews of Happy Ending, like on Yelp, it's like they wouldn't let me and my black friends in. They let me and not my black friend.
Yeah,
They let
exactly.
like
Yeah.
it's like they're actually like full racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I broke ties with them because I knew something was off. And then I got the confirmation and yeah, that shit is just so not cool. Like it is just so fucking not cool. Also, not letting in people that grew up in the neighborhood because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like of a
Right.
different skin color, but they're
Right.
from this fucking neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly.
You piece of shit.
Yeah.
You're from Switzerland. What balls do you have on you
Yeah.
from Switzerland, homie?
Oh,
Like,
Yeah, people like locking into this like elitist country club thing.
yeah, and it's so not the vibe. And I really do love the way that things are moving now because there is this like really inclusivity that I just love. I really do love. Like the pie is big enough for all of us, and if not, the pie will just get bigger. Like
Yeah.
like why keep the pie small and the people that
Yeah.
can eat it like few?
It's boring.
I really do love that so many people are getting more, they're just getting their time to shine. And I think that's like just so beautiful. And I'm so happy that is the case. But, obviously a long road ahead, but in the right direction for sure, I think.
And I mean, I'll take Milwaukee over Switzerland any day.
Right? I mean, don't get me wrong. Switzerland is very beautiful.
Yeah.
But,
A little boring.
they're not going to listen. They're not going to win up against New York.
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
Switzerland. Like, it's just not going to happen.
So tell us about Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
I mean, Uncut Gems is amazing. I just felt like I was making a movie with my friends. It was just really
How did it start though?
well. Josh kind of wrote that when he wrote that script. I read the first draft of that script ever. I still have it in my emails. It is so different than what actually ended up happening. But it was so good, and it was actually I think probably the first script I ever read, to be honest. And I just loved it. I really did. I loved it. And I helped him a lot develop the cat character. Like, every few months he would call me and ask me questions like, what would you do if like this happened? What would you do? And I would kind of, help him with that. And so when the time came, and then they made that one with Robert Pattinson, Good Time. And then they made Heaven Knows What. And then they made Good Time. And then I was like, are you guys ever going to make this movie that
Yeah,
you like,
right, 'cause
want
it
me to
was
be
like-
in?
Right.
Yeah.
Because this movie was like planned before all of those movies.
That's what it was all leading to.
Yeah, exactly. It really was. It's all timing. Everything in life is timing. And so when the time finally came, at that point it had gotten so big that he was like, Julia, honestly, I now that Scott Rudin is involved in these big studios, like, there's a chance that like they might want a bigger actress and blah, blah, blah. And I totally understood. Like, I was like, I like actually get that. And I'm like, not even mad at all. A, because I didn't realize like what an opportunity Uncut Gems would be, and B, because I just didn't realize how big the movie would be,
Right.
Yeah,
I had no idea. So,
Well, they were of a different. They weren't nearly as big when they first asked you about it, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
They were still like just indie,
Exactly, yeah.
Whatever. So I was like, don't worry about it, whatever. Like, it's fine. But then when I did the screen test, then I realized like, oh, this is like really serious. Like, I kind of need this.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if I hadn't been chosen after the screen test, I think I would have been upset. I would have been like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I literally, like, I know this character is mine. Like I literally, like, I feel like I birthed her. I'm like the mom, and Josh is the dad, and she's our baby, and like it's me. Like that's
You
kind
were
of
already
what it felt.
helping write the character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was already helping so much throughout the process. So I felt like, fuck, like, and then also I'd be like, how can a bitch play me better than me?
Yeah,
You
right,
know,
right,
like
'cause there's
that
a
would have
lot of you in
also
the
been
character.
like, yeah. And I think that's kind of what happened. Like girls would come and they would do their audition, but they just weren't me. Like that was
Yeah.
really it. They weren't getting it.
Yeah.
And then, but Josh really did, and I fucking love Josh because he really, really took a chance on me. You know, he really was like, no, I know that she can do this. He'd never seen me act before. I never ever did it ever. So it was like he really was like, yeah, I really love him for that because a lot of people are scared to like take chances, especially when you're playing with people's money and stuff,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
studios and your career. But he like knew, and I really do think he's like a genius. I really think so.
And did you know him like way prior to?
Yeah. We would like cross paths here and there, but you know, New York is a small town. You kind of,
Yeah.
if you're from here and he is, you know everyone. Like you just know, all know each other. All
When
the
did the
native New Yorkers.
conversation about the movie start, though?
I think he was literally just like, I think it was a text message, and he was like, "I'm making a movie and I want you to be in it." And then he asked me for my email address and sent me the script.
Yeah.
That's like
was
kind
that
of
simple.
how
Yeah.
it was very straight
Yeah.
to the point. Yeah, he's very like straight to the point.
Yeah.
He doesn't like, you know, dance around things.
And jumping ahead to Soderbergh, was that something that you got cast? Did you get cast in that like through an agent, or like was that a similar to Steven Soderbergh?
Steven Soderbergh specifically asked for me to be in
Yeah.
it. I'm pretty sure that that's what happened. Yeah, that was just an offer. Like I never did an audition for that.
So it's always direct with you.
Yeah,
Which
it
is
really
nice,
is.
yeah.
It's always like the director being like her, you know? And that's the thing. It's like it kind of has to be that way because, you know, I'm not the greatest at auditions. I'm not terrible at it. Like I'm pretty good. I think I am a good actress. I really do. Like even yesterday during the podcast, like I started acting because I was pretending something.
Right.
But like Nikki totally fell for it. And then I had to text her and be like, yo, I'm fucking lying. You know, like I'm acting.
Were you in the
and
same
she was
room,
like,
or-
yeah, we were in
Yeah.
the same room. And she was like, wow, you really are a good actress. And I was like, yeah, hello. So I get paid the big bucks.
I was in Uncut Gems.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like that. But right now I have a few offers, which I'm not sure I'm going to take. I have one offer on a script that I actually still have to read. I'm up for something that shoots in California, which I'm also not 100% sure about. It's just so hard because it's like, you don't want to be in a bad movie, you know?
Yeah. You've got
Like-
a good track record.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
like
do.
I really don't want to be in a bad movie, like, but I also really want to work. You know, part of me is just like, yeah, just fucking say yes, and then the other part of me is like, but wait, like, chill out, you know, like,
Yeah.
you don't want to be in a bad movie. Like, there's nothing worse than that.
But it sounds like you earlier were kind of painting a stark contrast between Soderbergh's set and a Safdie set.
Well, I mean, it was COVID, you know,
Right. But
like that 100%. And also, I'm not in my city. I'm in Detroit. It's COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
Everyone's really doing the 6 feet. That
Yeah,
people are
yeah, yeah.
double masking. It's a movie set, you know. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like if, like I know that there was one scare and it was actually a contaminated machine, thank God.
Whoa.
But they had to shut everything down for a few days and then retest everyone. And I mean, this is a major Hollywood production. Like
Yeah.
a few days delay equals like millions of dollars.
lot
of Yeah, money, yeah.
Like the anxiety and the tension was high.
Right.
Like it was not like the haha, you know, kidding around type of set. It was like anxiety all the way, you know, and things need to go exactly as planned. So obviously, you know, it was super different. But still very positive environment in my opinion. Really exciting vibes, but a lot of anxiety because of this fucking pandemic.
Right. As opposed to like Private Chat, which I imagine was like casual.
That was like a freaking hangout with
Yeah.
friends, like a chill one.
Yeah. And was that a similar thing with getting cast in that?
Pretty
Was that
much.
Yeah, it was just like, will you do this?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was working with Peter Vack?
Peter's great. He's really funny. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. Yeah, but we kind of lost touch. I don't even think I have his number anymore. But he's an interesting actor. He's a really good actor. He's like the first time I ever really saw an actor like be an actor, and I was like, whoa, like that was cool. Like you just like wanted the character.
He's tapped in.
Yeah. He's a really good guy. Also New Yorker. Yeah, cool dude.
Yeah. No, yeah, the chemistry in that and the acting, I think, is really good. Like, it really just rings like I'm watching, like, it's like almost like a documentary. Like, I feel like that's real.
Yeah, because it kind of was, honestly. You know, I just kind of went back to my, like, dominatrixing roots and was, like, pulling from there and just, like, pretty much, like, being myself, but I was a little bit acting. Like, I was starting to understand like how it worked.
Right.
You know, at first it was a little hard to like differentiate and be like, no, I'm in character now. Like now I can do it. But I don't know, whatever. You guys get what I'm saying.
How close to the character what is your own experience? Like it was like dominatrix, artist, like there was, you know, there's plot elements there that's
there were. It was different though. Like I feel like her art kind of sucks. Like I wouldn't do that at all.
Yeah.
But the dominatrixing was pretty much spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I didn't really ever do webcams like that. I think I did it like a few times, like because they like made me do it at the dungeon. They were like trying to build out their webcamming thing and made me do it. But
so it was mostly in person.
It was mostly in person. Yeah.
Do you like it better in person, or is it kind of nice?
Definitely. Because also, I don't know if this motherfucker's recording the screen and gonna use it for something else, or you know, I just wouldn't. I would not. From a financial business standpoint, I don't think that that's a good investment because he can record this, get off to you a bunch of times just rewatching it. You know, at least in person, he has to see me to come in. You know, I just think it's a better, and also I think it's overall just also a better experience. I enjoyed a dominatrixing for the most part. I look back at it as a positive experience and something that was enriching to me, and also kind of where I got my start in acting, because you are playing a character, and sometimes you could be playing 5 characters a day, you know, and it's very much like ready, set, go, you know, like this, like for instance, like he has like a mommy fetish. You have to be his really mean mom, and that's all you get.
Right.
So it's like, okay.
Yeah, you get a little artistic license with that.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then you just have to go and you have to fill up an hour. I mean, I never lasted a full hour, but you have to, you know, go in and really
do the whole thing.
Make this fantasy happen for this person who's paying money.
It almost sounds harder than acting. Because
it is.
It's like, you know, it's like you can't, multiple takes. It's like, it's just whatever happens is what it is.
It is because you have to really like feel out what they want. There's no script.
Yeah.
So you're kind of the director, writer, actor.
Right.
And the prompts are very minimal.
Yeah.
It's
very.
Just like mommy.
Yeah. Mommy, nurse, nun, whatever. Like, sister.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
Did you like feeling kind of disconnected and acting in that way? Did it like, you know, kind of interfere with your own personal sex life in any way?
Definitely. Oh my God. It killed my sex life.
Yeah, I can imagine, but I assume some people are different, so I don't know.
Killed it. It was like, because now I'm looking at sex, even though in dominatrixing there is no sex, because then you're not doming them if you're having sex with them. That's just not dominating. Anyone that does that, you're, I think, a prostitute, I would think, if you're getting paid money. But there are lifestyle doms that then do enjoy, but whatever. Anyway, so then now I'm looking at men as this means for money.
Right.
And I'm looking at my time as a means for money.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then I'm also looking at men differently. Now they're like, ugh, you know, or just something like beneath you.
Right.
And And yeah, after like pretty much after I started dominatrixing, the sex in my life and the intimacy in my life became very, very minimal. And it still is that way.
All right.
But-
So then, because like sex then felt like it was your work environment. So it
Transactional.
wasn't- yeah.
Yeah. It feels like work.
Right.
Or felt like work. And
Right.
also I just became super just into making money and not really about wasting my time with boys. And also I was a teenager, so it's like
You weren't in a relationship during this period.
no. That would have definitely not worked out.
Yeah.
But overall, I got in, I got out, which is amazing because a lot of women really do stay stuck in it.
Yeah.
But lucky for me, I'm like have such bad ADD and like I'm always moving on to like different things. I really do think that my inability to stay still in one thing is like what kind of pushed me out of it,
Right.
because you can get comfortable. Like I remember
Yeah.
when I got in it, I was still in high school and I was living at my friend's house, and her apartment was literally a fourth of this room, and her mom was such a hoarder, and we shared a bunk bed, and the bunk bed had shit all over it, and it was just such I really no windows, smoked cigarettes, just no room, dirty, cockroaches, like it was gross.
Yeah.
And I a month working at the dungeon, and I had enough for a security deposit, first month's rent, and all that. And so I was able to like get my own apartment, and like I was freshly 18 with my new apartment and was paying all my own bills like Con Edison and Time Warner Cable and being really self-sufficient at a really young age, so I just entered the workforce like very early, and I didn't really have time for guys, like it didn't really interest me.
Well, there's something to be said for having that level of agency over your finances that young.
Well, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
It was either that or live in this squalor,
Right.
and I always did want more for myself. Like I always knew that I wanted more and I wanted better. Like I knew better was out there and I knew that I could get it. I just had to take it. It wasn't going to be like handed to me. And that's kind of just how it's always been.
Yeah.
Like I've always known that there is better. Like I'm one of those people where it's like if you're in a situation, some people are like, well, it could always be worse. I'm the opposite. It could always be better.
Yeah.
Like
That's good.
That's
a good way to
I
think.
don't ever want to settle,
Yeah.
and I don't ever want to go back to like where I have been, where I was.
That's
like,
a commonality of most successful people is like not being satisfied.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because then you're not happy. Like a lot of the time because you're keeping yourself in this state of hunger.
Well, you're happy in the transition going
Right.
to the next thing.
Yeah.
Then when you're at the next thing, you're like, okay, wait, now what's the next thing?
Yeah.
But my comfort comes from the journey.
Right.
Not
yeah.
really so much the destination.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
definitely much more of a journey person. And I think that's a good thing, you know?
Yeah.
Did your mentality change after Gems? Like, did you feel like you have momentum now? And
Definitely. It felt like, the doors had finally opened for me. And now I feel like things are much more attainable. Things are much more reachable. But obviously it's the same thing of like, well, it's not going to get handed to me. Like I still have to put in work. And then another thing was like, now that I am more of a public figure in that sense, I felt like, well, now I need to like behave now. Like I can't really be doing like all these crazy things anymore. But it's like at the end of the day, I'm not like a Natalie Portman.
Right.
I'm still Julia Fox. And like if the reason I even got this major movie role with no prior real acting experience is because of who I am.
Yeah.
So and that's kind of where the idea of the podcast came from, because it's like, I still want to be me. Like I still want to have my voice and do my things and I love acting so much and I love creating so much, and hopefully my podcast doesn't fuck that up for me. But even if it does, so be it. Because I have to be myself and I have to do the things that feel true to me. And I can't like play a part in my real life. You know, like I have to be true to myself. You know, I have to be authentic. I feel like people that are truly happy are the people that are being honest in their day-to-day lives and are true to themselves and do what they feel and you know, are themselves.
Right. Well,
That's why like people like that are like closeted, like gay or whatever, they're so miserable when they're in the closet, when they're not out.
Yeah.
And you're like, but who cares what you do with your sexuality? But it's like a state of being. It's
Yeah,
like
right.
you want to be honest and you want to live authentically, you know, and I really feel like the truth will set you free. Like that's so cliche to say, but it's so true. Like
Yeah.
No,
the
it's
second you're
facts.
really being yourself and whatever, you just feel like at home, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So yeah.
Yeah. Well, your characters feel like like an extension of you.
Yeah, they're like my little babies.
Right.
But, you know, I definitely do, and I can also play characters that are so far from me. I think that was like one of the things with Uncut Gems. They were like, yeah, she was really good, but she was playing herself. It's like, no, dude, that was fucking acting. Like,
Yeah.
do you know how many fucking times I had to do that take and get into that mentality and the screaming and the crying and the yelling? Like I wasn't just mad that day.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like that was acting, guys.
Does that extend to the Soderbergh role? Like, do you feel like an extension of yourself there? Since we don't know about
Well,
that.
I think with all actors, you kind of have to tap into like a part of yourself or kind of reach for emotions that you've stored. Like I feel like all actors bring a little bit of themselves into their character. You have to. We're not robots.
Yeah.
So I think that I became Vanessa, you know, rather than Vanessa
Yeah,
becoming
yeah.
me. Like
Right.
I became, that's the name of the girl. And I just, you know, I had to be like, you know, what would I feel like in 1940 something? I'm in an abusive relationship. I'm cheating on my husband. You know, you have to like get into that.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
what it is.
Well, if you're acting, you have to kind of feel and kind of catalog maybe even your everyday experiences more.
Yeah.
Because you have to, you know, be able to have them in like some type of recall system.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I definitely do. I think a lot of girls do. Girls can do that really well. We're very in touch with our emotions and we can cry at the drop of a dime and we're just much more like fluid with our feelings.
No,
whereas men are a little more rigid and a little more stoic. I think women are much more free in that sense.
No, totally. I may have been on set for Gems a few days and I saw you get into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Where were you? Club seat or
Yeah, it was
something?
club scene.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely.
That was acting. You
yeah,
saw it.
Exactly.
Thank you.
have
She
to,
was
like,
acting. Ladies and
I
gents.
will vouch.
Yeah.
You weren't just mad that day.
Yeah.
So tell us about your movie that you want to make, or does that still?
I mean, I have so many scripts and so I love writing. And I have a few scripts. I have 2 for TV shows and 1 like completed one. And then I have a bunch of like unfinished ones that I was just got an idea and started writing. The one that, I mean, I'll tell you guys. The one that I'm so obsessed with was inspired by my best friend and my sister, Richie Shazam. And she's like a famous model and has her own TV show now and blah, blah, blah. But like back in the day, I used to help her write her like interviews questions. Like it's always like the same dumb questions, like, oh, like where are you from? What are you doing? And I was like, oh, this is so boring. Like let's answer and write like all these crazy things. Like say that you grew up in the back of a sex shop and all this stuff. And then it's just like, I'm not writing that, you crazy. And I was like, oh my God, but it would be such a good movie. And I literally wrote the script in, like that night. And my character is a very young, either Indian or West Indian, whatever, either way, South American, of like Asian descent, who has been abandoned by the father. Mom is dying. and grows up in the back of a sex shop in 6th Avenue with his aunt and uncle, and it's a coming of age story. And the boy is he's about 8 years old, 9 years old, but he's like trans and knows it already. Like he knows that he was supposed to be a woman. So it's loose. The characters very much like Richie, but the story is like pretty different as well. And I would love to do that with Richie and like make that happen. That would be so amazing.
So you wrote that entire script?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
exists.
It exists. It's so good. I mean, I think it's really, really good. But who knows what people really think.
That's the attitude.
Yeah. And my manager loves it. So, and I trust his opinion a lot. And then I have a few about TV shows. One is like a New York Euphoria kind of, but I wrote it like years before even Euphoria came out. But it's like that kind of vibe, whereas I think Euphoria is like very like suburban, like kids and whatever. That doesn't really apply to like city kids. Like as a city kid, I look at that and I'm like, whoa, like
Right.
so
Very
really
different,
feels
yeah.
very foreign. You know, when you grow up in Manhattan specifically, you know, you kind of grow up in the shadows. Like this is not a town for children. Like children are kind of like a nuisance here, I feel like, or they're like, they just don't fit the machine. They're
Yeah.
not turning the wheels of this big concrete machine. So, you know, we kind of grow up like on the rooftops, in the stairwells, like in the alleys.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we're always kind of on the side, especially if you're not one of like the rich kids that like go to the Hamptons on the weekends
Yeah,
or like
yeah,
go to
yeah.
private schools or boarding schools or whatever. Like if you don't have money, you're here. You know,
Yeah.
you're not going anywhere. So that was kind of what my experience was like. But then I also, you know, my mom being Italian, but not being rich at all. But I did also have my kind of saving grace was the ability that I could go to Italy and be with like that side of the family that were much more level-headed
Yeah.
and much more traditional and much more solid, like my rock kind of. But obviously I wasn't there that much. I was mostly here. But I thank God for those times that I was like in the mountains and just like being a little kid.
Yeah.
Because that was not it for me here at all. Here you're like, when you're a little kid, you're kind of like pretending to be an adult
Yeah.
Right.
so that you can like fit in here. So I feel like here you can't really, it's hard to have a childhood, like a healthy one, unless you have money,
Yeah.
which we did not
Right.
at all. So it was, that's kind of what that script is like. It's just writing about like these kids that are so marginalized and yeah. And then I don't know, just a bunch of stuff, but pretty much that's the vibes.
Which neighborhood did you grow up in Manhattan?
So we moved around a lot. There was actually also a time that we were homeless and lived here in Chinatown. And I remember it was like a shared space with like other people. And then like one day there was like blood all over the floor. And I was so young. I was like maybe 5. And I like don't know what happened. But my dad just like picked me up and we never went back.
Whoa.
So we like bounced around a lot. And then finally my dad started to get steadier work in construction, and he befriended this real estate agent who really helped him out and was like, there's this apartment. It's for sale for like $175,000. Literally took him like 30 years to pay off, which
Right,
is hilarious.
yeah.
No, like 20. And like hooked it up for us.
Yeah.
So she was really amazing. Her name's Amy. I still remember her. And so I grew up in Yorkville for the most part. But, you know, I went to school downtown. So I was always like up and down and kind
Yeah.
of all over. I pretty much lived in every neighborhood, honestly.
Yeah.
I've lived in Chelsea. I've lived in Harlem. I've lived in Tribeca. I've lived in Alphabet City. I've lived in East Village, West Village.
Do you have a favorite?
I honestly, I think the East Side. I'm definitely an
Yeah.
East Side girl, although I think the West Side's prettier. I'm more of an East Side girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the East Side. But yeah, New York's such a weird thing because you're surrounded by like so much wealth everywhere you go, and like
But also so much poverty.
no, exactly. It's like
Yeah.
you're split no matter where you go.
Yeah, well,
you're
that's-
like split between the two worlds. Like,
Yeah,
it's-
no, that's kind of what Yorkville is
Yeah.
because, you know, on one side, so Yorkville's east of the Upper East Side, and was very working class, and then you have the projects in the 90s on like First Avenue or York or something like that. And then, you know, back then we had a lot of Harlem influence too. Like
Right.
Harlem would come down and we would go up, and it was so I spent a lot of time in Harlem. And so, you know, on one hand, you walk a few avenues and you're in the richest zip code in the country.
Exactly.
And then you walk over there and you're in the project. So that was kind of what growing up there was like, because, you know, I had a Chanel bag that I stole, but I was also just such a scrappy, like trap queen, you know, like I was like ghetto, but I didn't really look like it, you know, like that was kind of like the vibes, like, you know, nameplate, but like ripped up Converse or like, like that was like the vibes. But I think it was good though, because I got to see that there was more, you know. I would look over there and be like, I want to be like that, you know, but they did not look at like me that way. They were like, oh, you know, like scary. But I just knew it existed, and I wanted to be like that. Like I wanted to, you know, my parents always fought about money. It was always money. And I was like, I just never want that to be something that I'm like anxious about or fighting about.
Do you think the proximity to like that level of wealth was part of what made you aspire for it?
Yeah, like going to like those people's houses and just being like, wow, like
right. Well, that's like if
you have your own room, like you know, I shared a room with my brother my whole life, and it was like, it sucks. You don't want to share a room with a boy, and like So I never really came home. I just wasn't home ever. I was always, you know, and my mom lived in Italy, so I always like, my whole thing was always like these like having these like women like kind of take me in as their like daughter, kind of like I've always had like a very strong woman who like took me in. And so I do feel like I've had so many mothers, and they were all so different, and they all taught me so many different things, but I have like little life lessons from like all of them. Like I always reference, you know, so you know, whatever, make the best of what you have.
Well, there's the difference between if you're like living in, you know, some small town somewhere and you like dream of the city, but here it's like, it's literally 3 blocks away. You can like physically see your dream life or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as segregated as like LA, for instance. And that's the beauty of New York, is that we're all in it together. You know, you might live in your nice apartment and I might live in a basement, but we're sharing the city, you know,
exactly.
Like we're sharing the same sidewalks, and we're interacting whether you like it or not, but you see everything.
That's a beautiful sentiment.
It's a healthy way of looking at it.
Well, it gets rid of the ownership thing when it's like it's a shared city. Like the city is for everyone.
It is.
Be it an out of towner or someone who grew up here. Like
it is.
The common public space of the street is like, it's all the same.
Yeah, I know. It's just because like, even if you're, you know, some like hyper rich Upper East Side, or you still have to like go to the deli and shit. It's like everyone's going to the same,
or take the train. You know,
exactly.
Rich people take if you're a rich New York person, you're taking the train. That you don't want to get stuck in traffic.
That's why the subway's so amazing.
It's like whoa, you know, you really get a little bit of everything on the subway, and we're all paying the same fee to be on it. You know, so that is really beautiful about the city. But it's hard when like all your landmarks all disappear. Like I feel like if you're from a small town, like that bar, that Dairy Queen, that whatever has all been there. You know, all the places I went to, they've all closed and changed ownership and name like 10 times.
Right. Yeah.
So it is kind of harder to feel like this is home. Like it always feels like it's changing. The mask is always like changing.
Are there places in particular that you really miss?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you don't really realize you miss them until you're like thinking about it. But like the diner that I went to at 3 a.m. every night, or you know, like places like that. like where you just kind of would decompress and hang out with your friends and like, yeah, diners, bars, just even like the sunglasses store, like the video store or like the dollar store that's not there anymore.
Video stores are definitely
the video stores. Oh my God, love that. Literally, I grew up above a video store and a dollar store, and like the video store was like my saving grace. Like my dad had an account, and I would just go and get all the movies, and I would just watch movies all the time.
Do you remember the name of the video store?
Huh?
Do you remember the name of the
It was
video
called
store?
The Video Store.
The Video Store. Chad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you miss anything from, I guess, the last downtown era? Like, do you think it's changed a lot from like maybe early 2010s?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Although with the pandemic, it did start to kind of feel like how it was before, because I feel like a lot of people that weren't from here went home to be with their families, and it kind of felt like the old city again.
Yeah.
A little dangerous, a little more authentic, a little more exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was more fucked up.
Yeah, it was.
Weird.
And I actually really liked it.
Yeah.
And me and my friends were all like remarking about how like we were like,
sick.
oh my God, it's lit. It's fun again. But I really do enjoy it the way it is now. I do. I think the pandemic kind of like rearranged some
It
pieces.
weeded some stuff out.
Yeah. I think it might. I hope by this summer it's gonna like feel like the maybe 10 years ago again.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I think so. I don't know.
The good old days.
What do you have any, I guess, advice to what all the kids can do to make it feel like the old days?
Just hit the streets, go outside,
just
go, get your vaccine and just go to Tompkins, go for walks, because you'll see it, it's there. But if you're home all the time, you won't. I don't know if that's the best advice during the pandemic to say go outside with the necessary precautions, but do it.
No, it's true. It's like the reason to be in the city is not to be in your tiny apartment.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. You don't pay for that. Like,
yeah,
you're
That's the irony, is that the free part is actually the best part.
Of course.
yeah.
But that's
you're not,
anything, I think.
Paying for the fucking apartment. If you wanted a nice apartment, you wouldn't live here.
You're paying for the location.
Yeah.
You're not paying for the apartment itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You're paying just a place to sleep at night and store your shit.
yeah,
But the action is outside.
yeah. No, I don't know if it's irresponsible to say go outside. I think we'll all be good by the summer, right? Everyone's
I
gonna
hope
be like,
so.
well,
I'm getting my vaccine on Wednesday. I'm getting the Johnson & Johnson one.
Oh, nice.
I went the more traditional route.
Yeah.
one and done.
Yeah, one and done. And I got that O positive blood.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, you're good either way.
yeah, but just to be sure. And also I want the little card.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do think everyone should just get the fucking vaccine and shut the fuck up.
yeah. I
Seriously.
agree. Like, come on,
That's the
come on,
vibe.
guys.
It's
Yeah.
like, come on. Like, it's like the people that are like, I don't want to go on medication, like when they're like depressed and
Yeah,
they're clearly
I
like,
talk about this all the time. Yeah,
I know, it's like, but you'll smoke weed and do Molly and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
take
yeah,
You're
a-
self-medicating.
Yeah, but you'll do that, right?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
you don't even know where that shit came from.
Yeah.
But you won't fucking actually get real help.
Yeah.
So stupid, I'm telling you.
yeah.
We're
That
Stupid.
right there with you.
yeah,
Yeah.
that shit always drives me crazy. Well, it's
Yeah.
like people think. I don't know if this really applies. But people think there's just some type of inherent, virtue in suffering.
Yeah.
So they think like if I grit my teeth and bear feeling horrible, that means I'm
Life is too short.
more
Like this
honorable or
life
something.
is not a trial run. This
Yeah,
is like
right,
the real
exactly.
deal. Like there's no reason why you should spend even one day suffering.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Yeah,
Who,
totally.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like go fix it.
Yeah, just fix it.
Like, you-
Everything else will follow.
Exactly,
Like
like-
once you're good here, you'll see everything around you start to be different
The
too.
doors open up.
Yeah.
it is a chain reaction. Just like
Absolutely.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So when can we see the Soderbergh movie?
I think I've heard talk about the summertime. I'm not sure. I'm gonna shoot him a text and ask him. I think probably maybe this summer it might hit some festivals. I don't know now with COVID what the deal is, but I really hope I can do some festivals, do some carpets, like get back out there. I really miss that so much.
Yeah.
Like during the Uncut Gems press tour, I was like so tired and over it by the end. But then when the pandemic, I'm like ready. I'll do it all over again.
Oh yeah.
It's like fuck it.
Yeah,
I'm not
seriously.
gonna be sick of it over
Yeah.
again.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh no, I'm so ready to do any type of bullshit. that I used to-
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Anything. And then I think probably then by the fall it'll become available on HBO. Pretty sure.
Cool.
Theaters, maybe HBO. I mean, I know HBO for sure. Not sure about theaters. But yeah. So
Well, it
that'll
sounds
be
like
out.
we can say to the people that Julia Fox is back.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Back and better than ever. And yeah, a
Podcast.
lot of new cool projects that I'm working on. So
Let's
definitely
plug the podcast one more time. It's called
Fantasy Hour
With Nikki
and
Takesh.
with Nikki Takesh. And
STP.
STP, of course, serving the people.
Gotta get STP in there.
STP. And yeah, and just I'll be announcing it on my Instagram when and where it can be listened to. So we'll keep an eye out the next. Well, when is this coming out?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean probably like mid-week.
Okay. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So probably a few days after you guys will be listening to this, it'll be out. But yeah, stay tuned.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Julia
Thank
Fox.
you guys for
coming
having
to
me.
the
It's so
Ion
fun.
Pod. Yeah, this
Yeah.
was great.
So fun. Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank